Hello. I'm maybe 5 minutes late, guys. I was looking for my shemag to keep the midges away. They're out in force. It was a windy wee night. How you doing, Eddie? It was a windy wee day and evening, but it's dropped right down now, so the midges are on the rise, as you know. Anyway, let's crack on. Shout out to Big Flo at Flowtech in Paisley for all your signs and your banners. Thanks to Jojo Welsh, as always. A more generous man I've yet to meet than Jojo. So guys, I appreciate everybody, Big Eck McPhee. I appreciate everybody that's supporting the channel. I've had some wee donations dropped in here, there and everywhere from people. Big, small, however, utterly grateful. We're in a good place, we're in a good position to keep the channel going and grow it. I'm going to be uploading some content, some physical activity content after the weekend. I've been working on some stuff in this area. Watch this space. Hi Danielle. So guys, last night I did a video. YouTube don't seem to like the heading of it. How you doing, Rosies? Cass, hi. They don't seem to, the algorithm seems to have picked up the word suicide. The algorithm's picked that up for some reason, we think. We're not sure, but we think that's the case, right? And I don't know why. My Facebook channel had 180,000 followers, exposing, you know, what I believe goes on in Scotland, which is another issue altogether. And Facebook removed my channel. No warning, nothing. Just deleted my channel. Okay, we all know who's in charge of these things. They don't like the truth. Anyway, last night I spoke about, I touched, and I mean touched, guys, because this is tip of the iceberg stuff. Start of, I talked about suicide rates in men and women, right? Off the scale. Women historically are lower, thankfully, but they are on the rise. Suicide in women is on the rise. It used to be very rare. And if you did commit suicide in the old days, you were considered a lunatic or a mental defect, or one of these horrible terms coined back in the Dark Ages, Victorian times, when mental illness wasn't understood. You know, a broken arm got a bandage. Anyone with mental problems or their mental health being low, they were put to an asylum. So we can't have that, and thankfully today we've moved on. We're moving in the right direction. At the end of the live last night, you may have heard me cursing someone. Normally I don't respond, I just remove the comments, but I thought I would award him with a Wanker of the Week award for you know, hoping that I would commit suicide and telling me, you know, commenting on my ruddy red face, which I've had all my life, you know. Anyway, let me explain something to people like that about me, okay? Although you all don't know me personally, some of you do. And this may sound overly confident. This may sound like I'm blowing my pipe. I'm not. It's not what I do. Let me quickly explain about me for any idiots watching. Thank you for coming on the channel, first of all, if you're an idiot. Thank you for giving me some of your time. Okay, I must be living in your head rent-free. However, what you don't know about me is that I am an astonishingly resilient individual, like you could not believe. I am self-assured by my knowledge and years of applying myself, putting my neck in the line, trying things that the textbooks or my education should say I wouldn't accomplish, okay? This boy will be a dunce. That's what my reports used to say. Let me tell you quickly about me. This isn't for you good guys and followers. You can go and make a cup of tea. You don't need to listen to this. This is for anybody who is waiting to see my downfall. You will wait for 10 lifetimes, okay? Because my name is Alex Kearney. I trade under my own name. I fear no one. I fear nothing. There is nothing for me to fear, okay? The best of me died many, many years ago. Death and all its blackness does not concern me in the slightest, okay? I'm more resilient than anyone you will ever meet on the street. I am made of very different stuff, so keep watching. Enjoy my growth, enjoy the growth of my channel. And if you ever come across me, oblige me. Oblige me where you meet me, okay? If you are a man at all, you will engage like a man. And you know exactly what I'm talking about. I invite you, I implore you, okay? And get your head into the books as well. Your spelling was shocking, but we won't go into that, okay? Because we didn't all have a great education. But by your comments, you're clearly an idiot. And I can't help you with being an idiot because idiots can't be taught. So keep trying. This is the only time I'll address you. I actually unblocked you. I've kept you on the channel because I want you to come out of the shadows. I want you to come out of the negativity and come on the journey. I want you to walk towards the light with me. I'll show you the way. I won't hold anything against you. I'm a very positive individual. I will show you a better way. You don't need to love me, but you will respect me, okay? So enjoy your night, Spider-Man. Anyway, guys, moving on. I'm enjoying this cup of tea because I made it and it's lovely. Years of practice. Anyway, let's talk about the serious stuff. The serious stuff is horrendous, okay? Thank you to those in the channel who have reached out with messages from last night. You know who you are. You will never be named. Everything in confidence until you tell me otherwise. Some of the guys have said that they're going to pursue these channels. They're going to pursue the tests privately or whatever through companies like Thriver. I've emailed Thriver this morning. I've asked them to send me a test out. I'm going to conduct the test live, send away, and I will reveal the findings live as well, which should be interesting viewing. Okay, so let's go on that. I've got that in hand. Hopefully I'll be able to provide that in the next week or two for you guys, and we'll see where I'm at. I have a feeling I'm low. I'm a feeling I'm a bit scattery. So I would love to confirm that with you guys, right? I have done it once before and my results were shockingly low. Okay, we know the algorithm doesn't like the word, however I'm going to have to find ways around that because we cannot evade this subject, it's too big. I won't talk about the figures, guys. You've all got a phone in your hand, you can all do Google, you can all use search engines. You will be shocked, astonished and saddened at the numbers of young men and women taking their lives in this country. It is appalling. It is the true pandemic, beyond anything, over and above anything that you read about in the press. All of the billion-dollar industries, all of the billion-pound. Brian, thank you. I was hoping you'd come on, mate, and tell us. Thanks, Brian, and good luck with it. Keep in touch, mate, and let me know how it goes. Good work, Brian. Respect, mate. Brian's going to do the test, guys. Brian's not feeling great. We're with you, brother. So, all the pandemics, all the ones you see, right, we won't discuss the legitimacy or not. We all have our own views. I have mine. I've been vocal about it. Funny old thing. So the one I'm talking about is the pandemic of suicide, low esteem, you know, self-harm, and all of the things that are horrible and that destroy families. So the numbers are off the scale. You can search on your own time, right? I know the numbers. I know the numbers accurately, and I know where to look for that information. And all is not as it seems with that information. all is not as it seems with that information. The NHS have a very, very clever way of categorising suicide and categorising death, which comes as a result of low esteem and self-harming and all the things. Death by misadventure, wrongful death, all of these things, right? All of these things. There are many ways to spin someone's death, but if you take your life, there is one word for it, and it is suicide, okay? And it should come under the banner of preventful tragedy, preventful. All death by suicide is preventful, but it requires intervention by professionally trained individuals. Because we don't have professionally trained individuals in the numbers required to meet the demand, people like me have to step up to the plate and enlighten anyone that's unsure of what's going on. And I am not an expert, but I am learning by the day. And there'll come a time where I'll be as qualified as any expert, because I don't believe anyone out there that I've so far looked at online is doing enough. Okay? Don't believe it. Don't believe it at all. Shoot me down, correct me, educate me, enlighten me, do what you want, guys. Ultimately, I'm one man. I am one man with an agenda which is genuine, and it is heartfelt, okay? I'm desperate for results. I'm desperate to see change. I'm desperate to see people's lives valued the way they should be. Not when it suits somebody, or when some celebrity steps out and tells the whole world he's depressed, and everybody goes ooh and ah for a day or two on Twitter, and then it falls by the wayside, you know, and somebody sends them a contract for £1 million to cheer them up. They don't help us. Celebrity does not help the man or woman in the street. Us guys, it is way above us. They are talking among themselves. We do not have access to that. We are just observers. We are distant observers through television and media. Concentrate on yourselves, guys. You're following charlatans and frauds. Half of the people that are claiming the bipolar disorder and all that, they're lying. They've never had that diagnosis. That diagnosis takes a long time. Which leads me on to this. If you go to your GP and you say, doctor, my esteem, everything is low, I believe my test's low, I believe this, that and the next thing, or if you're women, you believe your estrogen's out of sync, you believe your thyroid is out of sync, you believe you could be diabetic, you believe you could have vitamin D deficiencies, all of these things will contribute to you feeling crap, right? Thyroid is a big thing as well. Get on it, guys. The tests will tell you about thyroid, it will tell you about vitamins, it will tell you about magnesium deficiencies in your blood. The tests will tell you, but to go to a GP and request it, and they should give you it. There's no reason not to give you this test in the National Health Service as men, but they will try and avoid it like the plague. And the first thing they'll direct you to, we spoke about last night, is serotonin inhibitors. Okay, we know what they are. Antidepressants, not the answer. The answer for a percentage, not the answer for the masses, not the answer, not the generic answer over the desk after a 4 or 5 minute meeting with a doctor that's never met you. Hatchet Harry, you've attempted suicide more than one occasion. I'm just going to read Harry's comment, guys. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, just bear with me. I need to just tighten this little mount up here. Live chat, let me see. Harry, thanks for sharing that. On occasion, and just come. I now understand it's not my time, doesn't mean. Harry, you stay with us, brother. Harry, thanks for sharing that. I appreciate your honesty. I don't want to get too into reading all the comments just now, guys. Not when I'm charging on here with the chat. Right, So we were talking about what your GP will say. You'll hit the wall, tell the GP that you demand it, that you are a taxpayer or whatever you are, you have a right to this, right? Doesn't make you a taxpayer. If you're anybody, a UK citizen with a UK passport, you are entitled to this. At one point in your life, you have contributed. You deserve this, right? So don't take no for an answer. Danny McRae, brilliant. Glad you're a survivor, brother. You keep with us, Danny. Thank you for sharing. Sorry, Danny could be a female also. It's a two-way name. I think you're a bloke, Danny. I just missed the tail end of your comment. Sorry, no offence meant. Guys, if you go to your GP and he says, look, you don't need that, and he fobs you away from it, which is what happens, say to the GP, Eck, how you doing? Big man, I'm great. Cheers, Eck. Much obliged to you. Gave you a shout out at the start of the vid, mate. You tell the GP, no, you're not happy with it. You're not happy with no as an answer. You're not happy that you're being declined athletic testosterone checks, right? So you tell the GP no, and you ask for a second opinion out with him. Now, one or two things will happen. They will clam up and they will cover for each other, which is a ridiculous response to a very, very normal question, right? If they don't, which is kind of unusual, you ask for a second opinion. If they both come in with the same generic answer, you say, why does it sound like you guys are reading off a script? Why are you saying that, you know, I need this when I believe I don't, so to speak, okay? Don't take no for an answer. You have rights. Don't get up and feel obliged to leave. You getting me? Susan, you will be able to listen back. There's some interesting stuff going on, Susan. Thanks for coming on, Susan. Guys, don't take no for an answer from your GP. A lot of what I'm covering tonight I've covered in previous lives on Facebook, but they're lost in Facebook. Facebook's shadow banning them. Okay, my videos were getting a lot of views and then all of a sudden they were getting a limited amount all the time, and people said that's limiting you, the algorithm. I don't care about that, that's past. I care about today. Right guys, world football, thanks for the compliment, appreciated. So guys, what you need to do, right, is you tell that GP, you say, listen, I'm not taking no for an answer, male or female. I want checked, I want my thyroid checked, and I want an athletic set of bloods done for testosterone specific levels. You have to be very forceful with the GPs. Their directive is one that I am deeply, deeply suspicious of. We do not have the answers, nor do we have the access to what the GPs have. However, I've met a GP in the mountains, a woman of 40 years, who told me, she says, that is not part of our directive. We would never suggest that. And I said, why? She says, you've got a very valid point. Guys, I'll take a lie detector test live on camera, right? Her husband's on my Facebook page. She told me they would never suggest it, and all of a sudden she scratched her head. She said, I can't actually give you a reason why, because now that you've mentioned it, hi Emma, hi Tangerine, she went, now that you've mentioned it, it sounds very, very obvious, and it really is one of the first things that they should be ruling out. Why would you not why would you not have your bloods tested if you go to the GP telling them you feel awful? What is the fuel inside your body out with food? What runs around your body and, you know, regulates your body, your organs, everything, your brain, regulates everything, your blood. Your blood. So why do they not want to test it? Good, Danielle, glad to hear it. Jim, how you doing? Guys, do you get me here? Are you following my drift? Now, what I'll never be is suggestive. I will never try and lead anyone. I will never try and lead any of you. You're all individuals. This is my point of view only, okay? They are purposely directing you towards the serotonin inhibitors. Now that can only be a ploy. That can only be at the directive of Big Pharma. I don't care. You could put me in front of 1,000 doctors on a live panel on a stage. I will call every one of them a liar if they deny that that is the narrative, if that is their directive, their corporate directive I'm talking about. And I don't want to read anyone's comments about that they get paid this or they get that. I don't want to read any of that. That's for you guys, right? You can look at the comments yourselves. So what I want to say to you, right, is that this is, my findings are from years of speaking to people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people from every walk of life, from poor, working class, middle class to very, very, very wealthy people, and also people from other countries, very wealthy people from other countries, from ethnic backgrounds who are extremely wealthy. And when I've spoke to them about this, when I've had the opportunity to speak to them about it, I will speak in any company. Social status doesn't bother me. What happens is always the same. They prick their ears up and their eyes up if it affects them. So if I say something, right, like about testosterone, and it rings bells with men, and they go, well, aye, now that you mention it, I'm not working here, or this feels funny, or something's not right, out of sync. All of a sudden, something pricks their interest. So they take me aside, they start quizzing me. Alex, what were you talking about there? How do you know about that? What's this mean? What does that mean? And it always comes down to the same thing, okay? The taboo of it. They go to a GP, they don't want to mention this, they maybe don't want to mention that they've become impotent, or their virility is, not what it once was, and all of these things guys struggle with. Me personally, I don't give a shit talking about it, right? So it's amazing that the GPs don't mention it. Nobody has ever said to me, that was the first thing my GP offered. Why is it not? A blood test costs nothing, right? It's peanuts. Serotonin inhibitors at trade from the big companies are extortionate. Scotland picks up the tab for its population with free prescriptions. That's probably the reason that so many drugs are abused, because if you offer anybody something for nothing, they're very liable to say yes and take it, put their hand out. I could be shot for flames, but I believe there should be the option. I've often offered, I've went into places and I've said, I'll pay for that, and they look at you and go, no you don't, it's free. And I say, I'll pay for it. I'm happy to buy a box of painkillers or a paracetamol if I need them, which is rare. I'm happy to pay for anything. You should have the option. The problem is most chemists and chains of chemists are privately owned consortiums. They are owned by hedge funds and stuff like that, and they have boards of directors that require huge windfalls. So somebody somewhere is always trying to sell you something in regards to your health. You only need to look online at what a place like, for instance, Holland and Barrett makes per quarter. The returns are unbelievable. If they franchise them out like McDonald's do, it would be unbelievable what you could make if making money from people's health was your thing. It is not mine. If we can have good health for free, then why would we, if we were in power, why would we not want our population to feel healthy? Why would we not want the rest of the world to look at us and say, do you know something? The UK have got some of the healthiest people in the world, with the overall health of their population way above the average for the Northern Hemisphere or whatever in the world. Why would our leaders, with all the power that pull the strings, all the puppet masters, why would they not want that for us? They don't want it for you because that wouldn't make them any money. Correct, Patsy. Good health is not free and never will be, says Patsy Valentine. 100%, Patsy. It will never be free, because they have us on the drip now. Everyone's dependent on something. Everyone's different. MMA fan is telling us England's getting pumped 3-0, lol. Well, the Scottish are allowed to laugh when the English get beat, because they give us an office slagging, don't they? What's Emma saying? I remember being a bad way going to hospital. I was saying I was having anxiety, panic attacks. Yeah, Emma. It's all horror stories these days, and today, trying to even get an appointment with a GP is like the Krypton factor. It's horrendous what people are going through. I'm happy to wait. Let me tell you a quick story what happened during lockdown when I had sepsis for the second or third time. I went to the hospital, right, to get some wounds seen to, and the poison was running out of me. I was pretty grim with it, and a wee woman was at the counter, right? This was at the Southern General, and this lovely wee woman, in my opinion, she probably didn't have much wrong with her, but she wanted reassurance, right? And she wanted some company and somebody in an official capacity to tell her that she was okay, right? And a really, really horrible guy, and I hate to say he was in an NHS uniform, he said, "Can I help you?" So she's obviously been in before, and he maybe considers her a pest, but no one should be in that position, right? Not with an old person. And he said, "Well, you've already been in here for that a few days ago." And she went, "I know, but I'm still sore. Can I just see somebody?" And he went, "No, you'll have to go to your GP." Now, she came there from governing a taxi, and he about turned her. And I said, "Mate, give her my place. I'll come back another day." And he went, "It doesn't work like that." And I says, "Well, it can today, because we're not in a normal society just now. So let her just take my place, get her in to see a doctor, give her a wee bit of reassurance, and I'll walk." No. And I said, "I don't really like you, mate. I don't really like your attitude. I think it's appalling." I says, "And if you're a man at all, then be a gentleman, let that old woman in here, get her seen." And he was like, "No." And I said, "You know what, mate?" I says, "If we were anywhere else just now, I would have to really educate you, give you an example. You're not a nice person. You should be ashamed of yourself." And he was humming and hawing, and a guy stood up, an older gentleman stood up in the row, and he said, "I've got to agree with that guy, you're out of order." The wee woman didn't know where to go, right? Anyway, we weren't going to see her. So we took her out and we got her a taxi. I gave the taxi driver a tenner. And that happened. That happened in the Southern General. And that guy has probably been stealing a wage for years. And if you are in a position at times like that, especially at an A&E department, you have to have some form of empathy or compassion, especially for elderly people that are not steady and not sure. Okay, she might have had a wee bit of additional support needs, who knows? Anyway, it wasn't a nice experience. We always have to make time for people that are lesser. Anyone that's struggling, just make time for them. So everything starts with the basics, guys. It basically, you know, there are so many people reaching out and struggling. For the past 4 or 5 years, people have reached out to me. If anyone's had me on Facebook for that length of time, you'll see my old videos long before this channel's inception, when I spoke openly about my own depression. I'm a diagnosed manic depressive, and I deal with it today with diet, fitness, removing negative elements from my life, surrounding myself with good people that make me feel good. And if I can, and I always say this, guys, if I cannot find good people to make me feel good, I surround myself with no one. Negative people will kill you faster than a bullet. That's a fact, right? Dot, how you doing? Dot, I tried to phone you today and you rubber-eared me, you bugger. So, negative people will kill you faster than a bullet. Why? Let me explain. Seen my mate earlier, he said, we're talking about a guy, a neighbour. He says, he gets the guy next door, he gets him drunk. He tries to get him drinking with him all the time. Why? Because he's trying to balance out his own shit state of affairs. He is trying to, you know it, Susan, you know it. I'm going to give somebody a shout out now, guys. I'm going to interrupt myself. Susan Young's on the channel. Susan's a pal of mine, known Susan for years. She was at the other school when we were young. She went to school with my mate I'm talking about. And she makes things called Kryptonite Kisses as her brand. You get on Facebook or Instagram. She makes the most beautiful little handmade cards for special occasions. And she literally is brilliant at it. She can make anything. She's a self-employed entrepreneur doing brilliant. So there's a shout out. Kryptonite Kisses. Give her page a look, guys. Give her a like. She's a great person. Brilliant human being. One of the best. So, as I was saying, guys, people like this fella buy the drink, get the neighbour in, because he's trying to make himself feel better. And this neighbour's got an issue with drink, but he doesn't care, because he's got company. Misery loves company. So, basically, he has now got a drinking buddy, and when he wants to get reckless with his health, he engages this guy to do the same. Okay? Cheers, Susan. He gets this guy to do the same, and this guy's weak. He's got a weak character. He's got a flaw. The flaw being, through no fault of his own, he's an alcoholic. And this guy next door is probably of stronger character, so he's very good at manipulating the situation and getting him on the beer, which makes him feel better. It elevates him. Because if you're all doing it, then it's justified, is it not? Is that not how things work? Is that not how peer pressure works? Right? Peer pressure and people that abuse it can go and take an F to themselves. Who would want to be around that? If I've got a weakness, right? If I've got a weakness and you're putting it in front of me, you're not my friend. You're not concerned about my welfare. You're not concerned about my emotional, status. You're not concerned about my ability to say no and rise up and protect myself. I've got a weakness and you're exploiting it for your own ends. You're not my friend. Get out of my circle. Don't come near me. This is what's going on, guys. Peer pressure. I feel sorry for anybody that is weak or they're so down in themselves that they don't have the strength to say no. That's a terrible place. If you know somebody like that, you put your hand out and you get them out of it. Don't walk by. Don't do it. Brian Gallagher's giving a quick shout out to Veterans First. Yeah, Brian, you can, mate. Veterans First Point in Irvine. And the team there, been working with him over 2 years and have helped me massively in his road to recovery. Right, so there you go, Brian, there's a shout out. Veterans First Point in Irvine. And it is a great organisation, I know about them. Just going to fix this, guys, it's moving up and down because I don't really know how to work it. Crappy tripods. What have I done? Bloody useless swan. Anyway, right, so as I was saying, we bugger. Is that alright? Yeah, it's peer pressure is a horrible thing, and it's everywhere. Our kids are surrounded by it, but also people think that it just goes away. It doesn't go away. As adults, we're surrounded by it too. It's absolutely everywhere. And if someone... Let me think about this. Guys, if you are in a position where you know, right, you can't not know that you're being abused. You can't not know you're being abused. Get rid of them. Pluck up the courage. Take some big breaths. Remember who you once were in your life before someone beat the good life out of you. Remember who you were, and you tell them where to go. You have one life. Make it a good life. And if it's never going to be an amazing life, at least make it a life worth living. At least make your days remotely enjoyable. Balance the books in your favour by getting rid of the crap. It all leads to negativity. It all leads to low self-esteem, which can lead to low self-harming. It can lead to this, it can lead to the next thing. Apart from a couple of people I've got no one around me just now. You know, I spent a day or two in wee Charlie's company last week. Brilliant, brilliant. Charlie's, you know, 15 years older than me. We had a great crack. Why? Because we've both got the same directive. The incentive for us is the same. Better balance, better mindset, healthier living, seeing what's going on out there, targeting our goals, getting somewhere. We're trying to get somewhere. Remember we spoke about the valley, the Black Forest, the mountains. We're trying to get to the finish line. Give me 10 Charlie Fleetons. I want to be surrounded by people like him. Good people, honest, good people. Decent people that have gave an account of themselves. I had a crazy life, surrounded by maniacs. Some of my pals were maniacs. I was probably a maniac. Not anymore. I don't recognise that person. You know, I don't recognise that person. You would have to seriously poke me with a stick to get a response out of me. You believe me, you'll get a response out of me if you poke me enough with a stick. Believe me, you will. I'm no mug. But I'm confident myself because I know that about myself. But I don't want to be that person. Why would I? Why would anybody want to be somebody that's intimidating or intimidates people? People are just trying to get on with their day. Nobody needs to be that person. Who the hell would want it? Who the hell would want that life? So guys, we know where we're at, don't we? We know where we're at. We know that we have the tools. We know that we can build the confidence, right? We know that we can build the confidence to go to the GP and say, listen, you've been giving me these tablets now for 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, and nothing's happening. I want to try something different. I want you to test my bloods. And if I'm a man, I want test my testosterone checked. If a woman, I want my HRT, my estrogen checked. Throw in a wee cholesterol check, and I want my thyroid checking. You're entitled to this. Don't take no for an answer. Do not take no for an answer. Brian Gallagher is saying he's been born again at 43 after a life of alcohol abuse. Great honesty, Brian. Respect, brother. And that's a tough thing to come out with, by the way. That's a tough one. And even though Brian's not present and it's not in, you know, it's not in person, he's still on a platform sharing his personal information with strangers. So, respect, Brian. We wish you well in your journey, mate. I think you've got it in hand. And if you slip and you trip, as long as you get back up and dust yourself down, you know the drill. You know the drill. Get on it. Thanks, Henderson's Real Shy. It's a good name. Sui Mui saying full blood checks. I'm sorry I missed that, mate. Because it shows cortisone for stress and free test. I think that's more accurate for what you're using. Guys, if anybody's got knowledge of this, like Sui Mui, get the information on the page, get it shared to me, get it, tag me, whatever you've got to do, hit me up on Instagram, AC Shine a Light, get the information over, as long as it's legit information that I can verify with some checks. You know, I don't want anything outdated and I don't want anything cryptic that you've just thought up. However helpful you mean it, it could be misleading for someone else. So let's get some fact-based stuff out there. Companies like Thriver are really blowing up in the internet just now. Let's get on this, guys, right? Let's help each other. What is an hour out of my night? I'm looking for one person to come back and say that was worth it. That's all I'm looking for. That's all I've ever been looking for. Right, so we know the crack, don't we? We know the drill. We're going to go to GPs, we're going to demand checks. And by the way, another thing, see this crap 10 weeks and 12 weeks, you tell them, you demand, you say, I've not got 12 weeks to wait for this, you need to take my number about a cancellation in the next 10 days, you need to get me in here, right? This is imperative. If anyone has the luxury of a couple of quid lying about, maybe you could put something away every couple of weeks from takeaways or a carry out or anything that you're maybe a wee gambling on a horse, save a few quid back, get it done privately by one of the online companies. There are some great companies out there. I'm a wee bit annoyed that most of them are mail order, but I understand why, right? I understand why they don't have clinics dotted all over the UK. I get it. It kind of annoys me, but you know, I just have to accept that that's the way that they're structured. I would love to do things differently, but you know, maybe one day, who knows. So guys, get on it, look after yourself, look after your health. Suicide is no laughing matter. It's affected me greatly. I've buried a lot of my mates from the military, I've buried my civilian mates. Not nice, you know, fathers leaving kids, fathers leaving partners, it's horrific. I believe it's truly preventable. I believe we do nothing near enough to address the problem. It's not getting spoken about in Parliament, it's not in the press. The little token gestures that an odd celebrity makes about it is usually for personal benefit, because once they've said it and it trends for a day or two, they disappear and you never hear from them again. I've been going on about it now for years and I'm not going to give up. And I don't see many of these other people doing it. These celebrities, right? I don't see them doing it. They seem to be leaving it to guys like us who are just, you know, average guys that only a few people know. We've got small platforms in the bigger scheme of things. I did have a big platform in social media, but Facebook deleted it. You know, who knows why. But do we care? No, we don't care. Because the power that was taken from the people will return to the people, one way or another. We're all waking up. Mental health is the beginning of a better life. It is not the beginning of the end, it is the end of the beginning, okay? Correct your mental health and the rest of your life will be so much easier. That's an easy statement to make. Work hard, work towards it, be diligent, have confidence, give it time, be patient, but be very deliberate and be prepared to pursue. Stand up for yourselves, guys. You're good, decent, honest people. Stand up for yourselves. Do not take third-party bullshit. Do not live under the banner of fear. Do not be dictated to by anyone in a so-called apparent position of authority. Okay, they're civil servants, that's what they are, public sector workers. You have rights. You have inalienable rights from birth, that you're entitled in this country to a decent level of health care, right? That's a fact. Suey Mooey definitely has an idea of what they're talking about. I'm just catching wee bits of his comments, of their comments. So that's someone that has got knowledge of this. I can tell that just by some of the statements they're making there. Brilliant. Great addition to the channel. So thanks for that, Suey Mooey. Muay Thais must be your background, I'd imagine. I love the Thai boxing. Guys, I'm going to call it time soon. So, I'm fine, Andy Edwards. Thanks for asking. I appreciate everyone that's been on this. I think 50, 60 people, which is brilliant. I'm really grateful for that, but 29 likes. So the rest of you that haven't liked it yet, you better like it, or I'll burst you all. I'm grateful for the response tonight, okay? This is another thing. So you'll be starting to get the picture, guys, right? What means something to me. Good health, people's health, people getting fair treatment, and I despise injustice. on normal working class people. I despise injustice of any kind on working class people by those in positions of power that can change it but don't. And they abuse their positions by feathering their own nest long before carrying out their remit, whatever that capacity is. Before they've carried out their remit, they are lining their nest. Profit driven, ego driven, salary thieves. You'll also all gather that I'm very anti-authority. Susan's laughing. She knows me. Yeah, I'm anti-authority. I would be okay with authority if they didn't abuse it. All of these, expenses thieves and stuff like that. Why are these guys that are up massaging their own egos and chasing clout, why are they not talking about things in their communities? Young men in South Ayrshire, the suicide numbers in South Ayrshire are off the scale, okay? Thanks, Graham Cameron. They're off the scale. We did a live with John McGurk, right? Big John down there. John McGurk, Ayrshire MMA. Big man's a gentleman, struggled for years, been overprescribed and wrongly prescribed a load of crap, right, that polluted his system from here to his feet. The big man sourced his own testosterone and supplemented himself and felt great. Multiple suicide attempts. He knows what the answer is. He's telling the GP doesn't want, wants him on the serotonin inhibitors, wants him on big pharma's road to health. Big pharma's road to health. Social media is polluted with conspiracy theories, okay? And people say big pharma is a conspiracy theory. Go into your head for a crap. You are off your head if you think anyone cares about your health. Look at America. Look at the trillions and trillions and trillions of pounds per month spent on Medicare in America. Right? MMA fan is saying that they're convinced that there were more suicides during lockdown than there were actual deaths. There is an awful lot of very suspicious, poorly recorded deaths that would back up that statement. I know where to look. Not in the Sun newspaper, not in the Daily Mail, not in the Telegraph, not in the Guardian, not in any of those agenda-driven rags. They're for lighting barbecues, they're not for reading. I don't know why anyone would still buy a newspaper. You must be crazy. Big Pharma are the worst drug dealers in the world. Correct. The war on drugs they talk about. I've never met someone smoking a joint that wanted to kill me. But when I speak to people that have been years on serotonin inhibitors and they tell me that they have no life left in them, they haven't had a sex life in 5 years, or they haven't had any feeling or emotion, or they can go to a funeral and they don't know whether they laugh or cry because they don't know what feeling is anymore. That's shocking to hear people say that, and it ain't just one, it's hundreds, it's everybody. Because they numb you, they're neuropathic, these things, they numb you from the top of the head to the balls of your feet. That's what they're designed to do, and they numb every emotion in between. They numb your judgment, they impair everything. They dilute and water you down. They also water down your ability to conceive information. They absolutely do, because your attention span's gone with them. So how can you correctly conceive and retain information? You can't. Right? They make you weak. What happens when you're weak? You become dependent. You put your arms out and you require a crutch. What is the crutch? Reaching into the cupboard for more tablets. It's a vicious circle. There are other answers, guys. Be the herbal, be the spiritual, be the yoga, be the this, and I get that there is a place with extreme cases, right? But not as willy-nilly as they're dishing it out. Hence our suicide rates are astronomical, they're off the scale. The true pandemic in the United Kingdom today is suicide, and in younger people it's self-harming. Low self-esteem and self-harming. Do your own numbers, guys. Have your own information, do your own research, and you will see it, you'll find it. Look beyond Facebook for your information. It's watered down, it's doctored, right? It's very doctored. They tell you what they want to tell you. So be aware of that. Be aware of that. Just because it's in print doesn't mean it's true. The numbers are ridiculous. Just the same way as everyone's now waking up to the fact that all the numbers of COVID deaths were all doctored. One of my relatives passed away. COVID in the death certificate, it was challenged by his family and they had to change the death certificate because it was an absolute lie. He'd never been tested with COVID, he'd never contracted COVID, but he died in a COVID ward. Someone without COVID been put in there, years of dementia. There you go, guys. Right, I won't elaborate on that because it's a family matter, but they're liars, okay? They're liars. Somebody somewhere's lying. There's always somebody somewhere with an agenda telling lies. Because the numbers have to back up the narrative. And who directs the traffic on the narrative in the UK? Big pharmaceutical. Conspiracy theory, don't talk shit. It's fact. No one's talking about it. Everybody says it's okay not to be okay. I don't particularly like that saying. Do you know why? I don't think it is okay not to be okay. I don't think there's any reason that people should be not okay mentally. I believe that there is nowhere near enough help, right? Sayings like that are effectively lying down and just accepting it, that half the population's on antidepressants. That's not okay. It's not okay to not be okay. Let's fix it. It's ridiculous to sit back and go, it's okay if, 25 to 45-year-olds are killing themselves, 2 every 5,000. That's not okay. That's not okay at all. It's ridiculous and it makes me angry. And it's an absolute charade that these clowns in power are telling us that. It's okay not to be okay. That's a fucking misconception. It's a total fallacy. It's actually painting over the cracks. That's a cancerous comment, because that's justifying that so many people are just going to keep killing themselves and we just have to sit back and accept it. Well, I'm not accepting it. I'm not accepting it, and I'm one man. But if I've got an audience of 500 people or I've got an audience of 5 people, who cares? I can make a difference. I've got a voice and I've got balls big enough to stand up for myself. I don't care about reprisal. I don't care about finger pointing. He's a nutter. It's been written about me online. Okay? And now today, the Scottish Government are actually having to acknowledge that there's human beings being trafficked through this country. And yet last year it was all fabricated and lies and it wasn't happening. It is happening. There's active investigations all up and down the country. I'm still waiting to this day for one person to come across and cancel out anything I've ever said with fact-based evidence. I'm still waiting, and I'll be waiting a long time. Okay? Anyway, guys, on that note, have a good night, stay humble, stay healthy, and keep on keeping on. Thanks for listening. I'm very grateful for the numbers. I'm very grateful for the support. I'm very grateful for the donations, and I'm grateful for the shares and the likes and everything else. The channel's getting bigger, down to you guys. User would make it. Without you, we would be nothing. Okay? No eggs. I've got hundreds of eggs. 6 boxes. Night night all. Thank you.